everybody. It's Mike Lennon, Monday, October 24th. Walking back from Grand Central Station at around 12:30 p.m. Here, I walked up Park Avenue, did a podcast, so I figured on my way back, walk down Madison Avenue. I'm spending my time thinking out loud, rambling, using media for a particular reason other than to process my thoughts. Time is great for the audio format, which has become a lot easier lately with the application called Opinion, which allows me to go from recording to publishing all the way into the iTunes podcast area, all from my phone. So that's a real game changer. And I'm going to try and maintain a bit of a presence here on YouTube because maybe I'll split the types of things I'm talking about. I called the podcast the Python Experience, so I will try and make it talking about all things Python and professional SEO. And here on YouTube, I probably reach a broader, more diverse audience, searching on all sorts of topics. Interesting thing has happened recently where my removable thumb magic trick tutorial, where I don't really talk, has become my most popular video and surpassed even the original Raspberry Pi unboxing video, which was my original film to fame on YouTube. Yes, to use. Just happened to know what the Raspberry Pi was when it was released before it didn't dawn on everybody how significant a $35 full-fledged general Linux computer was. So I never really ran with that well. I had that one breakout success, and I was working for 360i at the time, and I had just had a kid, or the kid was on the way. No, I had recently had the kid. That was 2013, and very distracted. I could not pivot and change career and become a YouTube personality at that time. I had much more important criteria. Criteria is just being a good daddy and holding down that job, which was not destined to be, by the way. I've parted ways with 360i. Awesome company, but my focus shifted, their focus shifted, and so here I am now as an in-house SEO at a publishing house in New York City. And it's actually a fairly rare thing to have a publishing company that it is owned by a holding company, but it works as independently as a small publishing company does anymore these days, and still being out there and known and sort of on people's radar. And it's a really good feeling. It sets that challenge level at just the right amount, where someone like me could be a high impact player if only I do the right things for the right reason, which was the subject of my podcast video that I recorded on my way walking here. And the right things for the right reason currently in this field comes down to doing more and more intelligent and sophisticated data operations and investigations, producing deliverables such as it were, answering reporting questions using Python, doing it in such a way that the resulting work is not tied to some particular website service or Microsoft Office document or the server, a particular in-house tool that's been developed and lives in one place in one way and is fragile and brittle and can't be just moved anywhere. The right thing to do today is to decouple your data investigations from the particulars of hardware and have it able to run anywhere. You want it to run on the whole diversity of stuff, from the modern day Raspberry Pi, which is quad core. It's a respectable little piece of equipment these days, and all its competitors. And to equally allow that work to be installed on the cloud or servers, real hardware, so you get all the advantages of all the different deployment options that are out there, with nuances, with what kinds of questions you can answer based on the hardware you're on. Massively powered, a lot of stuff will allow you to do certain types of things where you need to connect to thousands of data sources in a very short time frame. But a single core old-fashioned Raspberry Pi would still be enough to allow you to look up the page authorities against a few hundred URLs, for example. And because all the code is in your hands, it's able to be read in a way that's as friendly to newcomers to the field as it can be made to be. I mean, there's no way around. Code is code. And at first it's going to be a little intimidating to look at, but it's a little less intimidating right out of the bat because it's Python. And then it's a little less intimidating still because it's in a web browser integrated development environment, a friendly, a color-coded, accessible feeling environment that is Jupyter Notebook. And then it's accessible still more because the installation program for Jupyter Notebook is Anaconda, which installs all the usual suspect dependencies, taking care of the biggest problem of moving this kind of stuff around into different locations, which is to install all the components of all the dependencies that need to be there for your code to work. So, the modern field of SEO, not only is all this, intellectual stuff around it, the chatter online, which, I don't go to shows much anymore, and I never tried to be a speaker or went that whole, becoming the high-profile authority route. I have always instead chosen to develop my own in-house tools, and none of them, with the possible exception of Hittail, really took off and caught the public's fancy. Hittail was in 2006. It's 10 years later and it's still going strong. It's been through a few different owners' hands, and I'm still in touch with the new owners, and occasionally we talk back and forth, but the basic premise is still strong. So long as search results are still a thing and there's some semblance of order, the order in which results are presented for a given keyword put in, there's always something that's on the edge of performing for you, something that you didn't think of where you're actually positioning and you didn't think so. And data will always sort of churn that up. The usage of search or carrying out particular probing investigations, active versus passive, that'll probably be a different video or podcast I talk about. But the data does show you where you're nearly bringing in some people, some eyeballs, some human attention. Maybe you're on the top of page 2, maybe you're on page 3, but as long as you're there and you had not deliberately thought to target it, you can deliberately target it and improve your position. Lather, rinse, and repeat. Hittail. 10 years. It survived not provided. It'll survive search volumes maybe being taken away by Google, which looks like a possibility. And, it's just a robust, timeless little process and algorithm, which is one of my tools that went out there and made it. Well, I've got other tools. I've got a big bag of tricks, about 1,000 times larger than that one simple one that manifested in Hittail. The problem is they're one-offs. They're rapid one-offs. They're rarely part of a greater framework. And even if they are part of a greater framework, that greater framework rarely actually sees the light of day. So ever since my second iteration of my current system, which I was calling Pipulate from the time I started the second iteration, I've based it on GitHub, and I have tried to minimize the amount of code going into it. putting as light of a touch on top of Python, which is already on top of Jupyter Notebook, which is already on top of a ton of third-party awesome libraries that Anaconda installs, the lightest touch bit of code, so that the type of data investigations that I like to carry out are easily supported, easily understood, and 24/7 reliable, completely schedulable. So you can at first do some ad hoc investigations, say, let me, crawl this site, pull back the page authorities, see who links to them, all the standard stuff that that SEOs do, generally in a native Google Docs environment. And when the data becomes too heavyweight to shove into Google Docs, like the part of the search results everyone throws out, like if you search on a keyword and you set it to 100 results per page, and that all comes back, and you're sitting on top of all this view source HTML, where are you going to put it? Well, in my scenario right now, I just archive it directly onto the hard drive using the power of Python in your local machine, so that you can go back and mine it and do investigations, competitive analyses, get down to details. If you set it to, just the normal default number of results per page, you can see the exact search results as the person would have seen them when they performed the search. And I'll be doing the next steps on that, like generating thumbnail images of the search results or full screenshots, doing the full vertical scroll, so that you can really understand context. Then, of course, that gets into the interesting stuff going on now. As soon as you pull down the search results, technically you're violating the terms and conditions of using Google, but it has to do with automating it and storing it in the database. So long as it stays in ad hoc mode and you're not really doing large jobs, it's going to be flying well down under the radar. And people are always performing search results directly in the web browser to see how they're doing. Same thing. This is not the massive scaled kind of machinery that's used probably for things like Bright Edge and Conductor and LinkDex and all the other tools out there that do this at scale that for some reason keep going and going. So they all probably either use, distributed cloud servers or proxies to bounce the traffic on for the data collection layer. And, such is the nature of the game these days. Google very generously gives you back a ton of this data. Just a shot of this guy here. I'm going to cut over to the other side now because I'm actually going to pick up some food to take back with me. I ended up doing the walk to Grand Central Station really just for the purpose of clearing my mind and thinking through the next step. And I did clear my mind, and I thought through the next step, and what it is this. It is stabilizing the machinery of doing things like these search results and running sophisticated jobs where it might do second-degree data pulls, third-degree data pulls, and so on. Oh, I'm going to stop in this comic book store and get Addie some comic books that I've noticed here that we've talked about, and her birthday's coming up, and I want to make sure I got lots of her little books. So this will be a good place for me to wind this up, because I don't want to walk into the store talking about all this tech stuff, but I will wind up on this note here. Gravity Falls, Sin Sign Story Comic, Volume 1 and 2. I wish there was like a 3. I looked through these before to see if it was a whole story. So anyway, there you are. I'm going to stabilize my work. I'm going to make the most common deliverables easy to produce, easy to deliver, and start releasing it out to the world, starting with my direct circle of peers where I work, then moving on to the in-house webmasters, probably with the Traffic Kings Slack group that I just joined. Thank you, Nathan. And after that, out on GitHub and just general videos like this in YouTube, the talking head videos that I'll get back to teaching people how to use all this stuff. So anyway, thanks for joining me. Hope to talk to you again soon. And don't forget to subscribe. And happy birthday, future Addie.